gut health expert, Professor Tim Spector, has just released his first ever cookbook. It's based on the 6 key principles he says that we should follow when it comes to eating well. Good morning, Tim.
Good morning.
How are you?
Marvellous.
Well, because you're eating well. That's why you're marvellous, isn't it? That's the key. There's a thing that happened in your own life. We know you as an expert. You're the scientist that we all trust. But it's your own personal life, isn't it? Your health scare that really turned you on to. The food can, well, it can make you ill or it can save your life.
Yeah, it told me really that food is medicine, and it needed, like many of us, a jolt to get us to really think about preventing problems rather than waiting for them to happen.
Yeah, what happened to you?
I had a mini stroke when I was in the mountains doing a bit of skiing, and I got double vision for 3 months. I couldn't see or do anything or work, and my blood pressure shot up. So that was a real wake-up call, because my dad had died in his 50s of a heart attack. And up to that point, I thought, I'm super healthy, nothing's going to happen to me, you know.
Well, you're the expert, you know.
Well,
yeah.
I'm a doctor. What can possibly go wrong? You know, doctors know everything. And it turned out I didn't know everything, and I'd got most of my teaching, well, everything I've been taught about nutrition, most of it was rubbish.
Gosh.
And, you know, I wasn't able to tell my patients how to eat properly. So that's what I had to relearn. And at the same time, in my science career, I'd been looking at twins and been found out that the one thing that was different in identical twins was their gut microbes. So these two things happen at once. I discovered how important looking after our gut health is, and at the same time, really selfishly wanted to keep myself alive and healthier than had been the case before. So that's why I turned to food, and, you know, since then, really everything I'm doing is about trying to get myself and everybody to eat more healthily and well.
And, you know, what we think is more healthy, we're bombarded with messages from various people online and headlines and things like that. It is bamboozling to the average person, I think, what is healthy. Because there are some things you want to... Got Joe busting myths. You'll want to bust a few myths this morning. Let's talk about, in your view, what healthy is, and this is what your cookbook is. You talk about we need 30 plants. Is that a day or...?
A week.
A week. I was going to say that's a bit... So you need 30 plants a week in your diet, in your view, plus a certain amount of fibre.
Yes, well, if you get the 30 plants, that's diverse ones, and a plant is not just... it's not just a fruit and a vegetable.
Yes, this is obvious, this,
you know,
bit,
which people know about, but it's different colours, so, you know, you get... Just by getting a different colour one, that counts as a different plant. Every nut and seed is a different one. Right. Even a teaspoonful of spice, that counts as a plant.
Does it?
And that's really good for you and your gut microbes. And, you know, this concept of putting more on your plate rather than less is really important.
Isn't that interesting?
So it's not about the same 5 a day, which nobody really does anyway and is really boring. It's about increasing the variety, because the more different plants you've got on your plate, the more your gut microbes like it, and the better their health. So that's really important. So that's my #1 tip, really. If you remember nothing else, try and get more diversity throughout that week and picking new, interesting foods that, you know, get you out of a rut.
Yes, and fermented foods, we hear a lot about it. You're a big advocate of this, particularly as we come into winter for your immune system.
Yes, we now know that if you can have several portions of fermented foods in it, which means not just yoghurt and cheese, but things like sauerkraut and kimchi here, kefir, or kombuchas or water kefir. All of these things, you know, are incredibly good for you because they're really good for your immune system. And what the book does is to start telling people how you can incorporate them into every meal.
Yeah.
Not just on the side as a pickle, but you can mix it in with your salads, mix it in with your mashed potato, with your beans, all these
And
ideas.
what's interesting to me is that there's so much push, I think, about protein. Eat more protein, eat more protein. That's the way to get healthy. That's what all the gym bunnies do. You're like, hang on a minute, let's knock that on the head. Do it for us this morning.
It's total rubbish. Marketing is telling us we need more protein. Science is not.
Yeah, so people are going, I'll have a protein bar, I'm healthy.
90% of us have more than enough protein, but 90% of us are lacking fibre. So instead of just having junk food because it's got protein in it, we should be switching to real food with fibre. And this is what this book is all about, is telling people how to get that from things like beans and lentils and legumes that are cheap, really cheap to eat, but so much better for you than some artificial, you know, ingredient, some chemical protein that's been added to that. Really, it's just going to turn to fat. It's not going to make you big and strong.
And nobody tells you that. And the thing is, what I love about this book is there's not a calorie count in sight. The only thing that it goes on is how much fibre is in each recipe and how many plants are in each recipe. And that, for you, is absolutely
That's what we think
key.
is the most important.
Yeah.
You know, the way we should be looking at food is about diversity and fibre, and we should ban discussion of calories and fats.
I love that. I love that. And we must just, before we say goodbye to you, just mention the wonderful Michael Mosley. It must still hit you hard that he's no longer with us, because you were great friends and great respected colleagues of one another.
Yes, very sadly missed. You know, we're having a memorial for him soon, and it'll be a time to reflect. But I think his legacy is important.
Yes.
You know, there's always one more thing we can all do for our health. So I think that's... So if there's, you know, out there, if you want to really remember his memory, you know, just do one thing for your health. Add one more thing to your health. And
it's lovely. Tim, thank you so much for being with us this morning. Tim's Food for Life cookbook is out now, and don't forget, there's lots more about gut health on our YouTube channel, where Dr Hilary and Dr Amir have recorded a special conversation exactly about what Tim's discussing here, so it's perfect for a bit more information.